what I'm doing this for is just a little reminder, just to kind of bring it home to you, because I think, you know, you can be in a job a while and you can all of a sudden find yourself in a job hunting scenario that you're not expecting. And for some reason, some of you can sometimes be dicks. So, don't be a dick. Please, don't be a dick. So really what I'm trying to say with my talk today is talking you through what it's like to job hunt when you're in demand. I don't know how these are going to come out because they were really fuzzy on my screen, so they're probably going to be fuzzy on this screen. One of the overriding things I found when people start to job hunt in development is they are completely overwhelmed. They literally, even though they know they're probably going to be in demand, when it actually happens, they literally end up looking like this. They can't believe the volume of opportunities that get thrown at them. They can't comprehend why so many people want to employ them. And my advice is just take a breath. Just stop for a minute and take a breath. Don't get so swept up in it all. Because us recruiters are ultimately pimps. We're basically pimps on behalf of employers. And I think that candidates sometimes, because of the way that us recruiters, or even potential actual employers themselves, can behave, I think people can forget that. And they can end up being a bit fooled by everything. They can end up feeling a bit like they're the ones in control. The candidate is they are king. You know, you've got the pick of the jobs. You guys rule the roost. But ultimately, the employer is the person with the purse strings. The employer is the person that's going to give you the job. So my advice is just to take a step back from everything going on around you and just remember that if you behave in a certain way, you can actually let that dream job pass you by because of the way you behave. And the reason I'm saying this is because I get this feedback all the time. So when you're going through the process, you need to have a bit of a plan. You need to think about what it is you want next. What have you been doing? What do you want to do? And why do you want to do it? I mean, that's always my first advice about the top section of your CV. I mean, that's boring stuff and I don't want to go into that. But ultimately, you need to be very clear on what you've done, why you've done it, what you want to do next, and why you want to do that. And don't let these pimps, don't let these recruiters push you in one direction or another. You need to stay firm in knowing what it is you want to do and why you want to do it. But at the same time, if you're speaking to a recruiter that knows what they're doing, listen, don't just assume that because we're recruiters, we don't, you know, we are purely out for ourselves, because we're not. Yes, we are working on behalf of employers to a large extent, and yes, we have to pay our bills and keep a roof over our head, or at least be able to go on holiday and fall over on boats and end up in boots like this. But we do actually, and well, I'm speaking for myself here, but I know there are other recruiters that do actually care about you, what you want as a candidate. And when we do offer advice, we are doing it from the point of view of who you are, what you've done, and what you want to do. So again, don't be arrogant. Don't shut your ears and say, no, I know best. Maybe just sit and have a listen for 5 minutes. You don't have to take advice, but at least listen and make that person feel like you're listening. Because sometimes I do feel like it falls on deaf ears. Be clear on your requirements. Have a plan. And then when it comes to your interviews, be organised. Get your ducks in a row, because if you've got lots of interviews going on, you've got lots of employers wanting to speak to you, try and keep notes, try and keep records, and try and keep on top of what's happening around you, because it can be chaotic. Read up. Prepare. listen to the recruiter. The recruiter's giving you information about what that company does. Read it. My email that I send to candidates isn't very long, but it's frightening the amount of people that don't read what I tell them, and I don't do it for the good of my health, I do it for yours to help you prepare. I don't think I need to say this, but I kind of think I do, because I've been doing this for 10 years and I still get feedback that candidates turn up scruffy, and I think the part of the reason for that is, again, because you don't think you need to make an effort, because you know the employer wants you. And yes, you are there as much for you as you are for the employer. I get that. You are there to find out if that employer and that company and that job is right for you. And I totally agree with all of that. But again, don't let that go to your head and forget what that potential employer could be thinking. Again, look interested. Don't slouch in your seat just because you know you can do the job and you're just here because you have to be. You could have given me the job on paper, for God's sake. Still, employers want to see that you want to work for them, that you've got a vague interest in what they do. Again, this feedback is just constantly coming around, and I find it frightening. So when you've gone through that interview process, you've probably had loads, you're probably like, where is my head at? What job am I going to take? What am I going to do next? And again, I can help to advise. I'm a pretty impartial recruiter, but most aren't. So you have to go with your gut. Sorry, that's a dreadful slide, isn't it? But when you Google gifts for guts, I mean, you don't get a huge amount. So, but you do have to go with your gut. You've got to think. No, it's bad, isn't it? You've got to it's not politically correct at all, but I don't care. But you do. You've got to go with your gut instinct. And again, but that might be a gut instinct. It might be hard to communicate why you have that instinct or why you have that feeling. But if you can talk to a recruiter or talk to the employer about what you're feeling and why you're feeling it, it helps massively in the whole process. Keep everybody informed. Oh, switch your phone off when you're in interviews. Keep everybody informed. You know, again, it's hard to manage the process, especially when you've had a few interviews and you're still potentially managing your full-time job. And it is tough to keep in touch with everybody. And I'm a recruiter that doesn't insist you ring me. You can text me, email me, whatever. But you do need to keep in touch with everybody, because otherwise we end up feeling like we're being ghosted. Now, this isn't just because I've done online dating and I've been ghosted a few times and I'm a bit bitter about it. A lot of people have actually compared what I do to dating, because I'm putting people together. And what happens when you ghost somebody is I feel like I start sounding really desperate, and I hate it. Because ultimately, I need to know what's happening and why it's happening and why you're not getting back to me. And I've actually emailed a candidate this week and said, are you still alive? Are you okay? I genuinely actually am worried if you're still alive. It's not a good feeling to have when you're doing that to somebody, and it's not great to be receiving them when it takes 2 seconds to send a text and say, I'm out for whatever reason. All in all, don't let it go to your head. Don't let the process turn you into one of these. Don't let the fact that you're in demand turn you into a dig. If anybody does have any questions, like I say, I'm going down the pub, first round on Sharpe. If you are looking for a job, you know who I am, you know where I am, you know where to find me. And if not,